Welcome guys, today is Thursday and you know what that means. It's time for another fantasy football talk. But before we start that, everybody who's new to this channel, make sure to click the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notified when new videos come out. And even before I start to talk about football, first of all, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Derek Larger. You can find his channel down below in the description. He's also talking a lot about football and sports in general. He does a little bit about NFL. He's more of the college football guys, the news that I'm not really doing here. So if you're more interested in college football, go check him out. Give him a like, subscribe to his channel, follow him. He does great stuff. He knows a lot what he's talking about. So yeah, make sure and go subscribe to his channel. But now we're actually coming to the football stuff. And the first topic I want to talk about is the acquisition of Jamal Charles by the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, Jamal Charles, in my opinion, is not really fantasy relevant right now. At least not in smaller leagues like 10-team or 12-team leagues. Maybe in some deeper leagues like 18-team league or 20-team league, where running backs are a rarity. So yeah, I think Jamal Charles will not do a whole lot. He will split counts with TJ Yeldon, but I think TJ Yeldon will be the running back going forward for the Jacksonville Jaguars if Leonard Fournette is out. So Jamal Charles for me he might get 10 or 15 maybe carries per game, but I don't think he is the best anymore. He's not in his prime anymore, so maybe stay away from him in fantasy right now. Another topic that I already talked about last week is Chester Rogers of the Indianapolis Colts. He was looking good last week in the Thursday night game against the New England Patriots with T.Y. Hilton out and Jack Doyle out. This will be much of the same this week, with both of them out for this week's game, which is really likely to be. So Chester Rogers, really good performance. I think he can hold that performance up this week as well. So if he is available in your league, go pick him up. He is a really good flex player, or maybe a wide receiver too. And of course, a really big topic after the Monday night game is Drew Brees breaking the all-time passing yardage record. And congrats Drew Brees for accomplishing that. This is a huge accomplishment for him, of course. And I don't know, why is Drew Brees not in the conversation for being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? One line that I really picked up in the broadcast by ESPN on Monday was that he may be the best quarterback who is under 6 feet, but he is only in the top 10 overall. But why do you rank Drew Brees only in the top 10 overall? For me, Drew Brees has to be in the conversation for the best quarterback of all time, period. Size does not matter for Drew Brees. He is holding a lot of records in the NFL right now. He is holding not only the, sorry for the mic slap, he's not only holding the passing yardage record right now, he's also the record holder for the most accurate season so far. And not only that, for the most accurate season, he scored the 4 of the top 5 results ever in the NFL. Also, he has the longest streak of games with 1 touchdown pass. He has the most season with 5,000 yards passing and the most season with 4,000 yards passing. Why is Drew Brees not in the conversation for the best quarterback of all time? Many say he only has 1 ring, but why do rings matter for a quarterback? A ring in the Super Bowl is a team effort. We always keep saying offense wins games, defenses win championships. So why do we use rings to actually measure the best quarterback of all times? Yes, Tom Brady has 5 rings, but how many of them actually did Tom Brady win for the team? For me, it's only maybe 1 or 2 Super Bowls that Tom Brady actually won because he is Tom Brady. Other times it was the kickers, other times it was the other team that failed at the 1-yard line. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Seattle Seahawks. But yeah, Drew Brees only has 1 ring. But so did Peyton Manning until he won Super Bowl 50 and then later retired. He had also just 1 ring until then. But he was always in the conversation of being the best quarterback of all time. And yes, he had the records that Drew Brees is now one of them, Drew Brees got on Monday. But yeah, the touchdown record of all time, Drew Brees will likely break that as well, probably already next season. So why is Drew Brees not in the conversation for number one or the best quarterback of all time? I don't know why. So bring it into a conversation. Drew Brees for me is definitely one of the top 3 guys ever in the NFL, but everybody has to decide what he thinks about Drew Brees and how he's ranking his quarterbacks. But for me, Drew Brees is more likely to be in the number 2 or maybe even the best quarterback of all time. So yeah, it's just the New Orleans Saints are just not the mainstream team that the media is talking about, and that's the problem for Drew Brees. Drew Brees really is one of the greatest of all time. But now that I've talked about Drew Brees and some other news in football, I want to come to this week in the NFL actually. And yeah, tonight is Thursday, so we have a Thursday night football game, and it's gonna be the Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Giants. Both teams didn't really show them much lately. Yes, the Giants had a close game against Carolina, so did the Eagles against the Vikings, but it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a divisional game. It's kind of a rivalry, I'd say. So it's gonna be an interesting game. But for me, the loss of G.O.A.T for the Philadelphia Eagles might be a problem, but they have a really good depth at running back, so they can make up for it. The only problem I have with the Eagles so far, I don't know, the offense is just not clicking right now as they did last year. So against a not really that good of a defense with the Giants, I think they might actually do a turnaround and might actually be a pretty decent offense this game. But pretty decent offense, that's also the New York Giants with Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, and all that. Of course, Saquon Barkley is running back. But in this game, I just have to favor the Philadelphia Eagles tonight. I think it's probably a close one. It's gonna be a competitive game, that's for sure. That's the Eagles against the Giants is, yeah, probably almost every time a really interesting game. So my score for tonight's game is a 24-21 for the Philadelphia Eagles. They just win it by a field goal. And yeah, that's my prediction for tonight. And of course, I'm not only gonna do a prediction for tonight's game, as I did last week, I'm gonna do a prediction for all the games that are on this week in the NFL. And as you can see to my left right now, I have the whole schedule right here. And first of all, the Eagles against the Giants, I've already talked about it. It's gonna be a 24-21 for me, but things can happen, you know. And the next game that is up are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Atlanta Falcons. So far, the teams haven't showed them much lately. The Buccaneers really look promising in the first 2 weeks with Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback, but kind of dropped off in the last couple of weeks. The Atlanta Falcons, they looked really promising before the season with a high-powered offense and a really good defense, but they haven't really lived up to their hype as of yet this season. And I think this week it's going to be a 20-31 for the Atlanta Falcons. The Buccaneers aren't looking that good right now, so I'm giving that one to the Atlanta Falcons. The next game up are the Carolina Panthers against the Washington Redskins. Of course, the Washington Redskins just coming off a short week after a Monday night game against the Saints right now, in which they didn't look really good. But I think they're coming back this week at home with a win against the Carolina Panthers. I think it's going to be 17-24 for the Washington Redskins. But yeah, on the West Coast, we have the Seattle Seahawks against the Oakland Raiders. Of course, both teams are maybe out of form right now, but I think the Seahawks looked pretty good against the Rams last week. So I'm giving this game to the Seahawks, but I think it's going to be a lower scoring game just because the offenses don't really look that good right now. So I'm giving it to the Seahawks with a 14-10 over the Oakland Raiders. Next up are the Colts against the Jets. I've talked about the Colts before. They have a couple of injury problems on offense as well as on defense, but I think this game they actually will win against the New York Jets because the Jets don't look that good right now. They look good at the beginning of the season, kind of like the Buccaneers did, But I think the Colts will win this one. It's going to be a close one, but I think it's going to be a one touchdown game with a 21-14 for the Indianapolis Colts. Next up are the Arizona Cardinals against the Minnesota Vikings. The Cardinals, yeah, their season might be turning around, but really slowly with Josh Rosen under center. David Johnson actually got a couple of fantasy points last week. He looks better, but their offense is just not there yet, or the whole team is just not there yet. So, of course, with the Vikings, they look, yeah, not as good as some might have thought before this season, but I think they're still a really good team. So I'm giving this clearly to the Vikings with a score of 42-20. And now to the game of the week for me this week, because it's just one of the biggest rivalries there is in the NFL right now between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams look promising right now, but I'm giving this to the Cincinnati Bengals just by a couple of points with a 28-24 right now. The Steelers, of course, not with Le'Veon Bell this week. He might come back after their bye week, but let's see what happens there. And next up are the LA Chargers against the Cleveland Browns. I know last week I said about the Browns that they will definitely lose against the Baltimore Ravens, and they surprised me. They won it in overtime by a field goal. Well, the Cleveland Browns might actually be decent this year, and I'm giving this game to the Cleveland Browns again because their opponent is weaker than last week, so why wouldn't they win again? And I know, 3 wins for the Cleveland Browns in one season? What is going on? But the Browns actually look good on offense as well as on defense this year, and they might actually not be the first pick next year in the draft. So my result for this game that I'm predicting is a 21-24 for the Browns. It's gonna be a close game, but I think the Browns will just win it by a field goal again. The next game are the Buffalo Bills against the Houston Texans. The Buffalo Bills are actually trending up right now with Josh Allen under center, and they might actually win this game. The Texans are looking kind of bad right now. They don't really have an offense, which looked really good at the beginning of the year. But right now, their defense isn't clicking as well. But I think Buffalo isn't just quite there yet. So I think the Texans are winning this game by 24-17 over the Bills. And the last 1 o'clock Eastern Time game this week are the Bears against the Dolphins. The Dolphins, not really looking good this year. But of course, when you're trading away about your whole offense and defense for literally almost nothing, what do you expect? And the Bears are looking pretty promising right now. With the acquisition of Khalil Mack, their defense looks pretty good. And their offense, of course, Mitch Trubisky is playing pretty well this season. And he has a couple of good receivers with a good duo of running backs, so they are looking pretty promising. So I'm giving this game 31-13, a really clear game for the Bears for me, to the Bears. Okay, and now moving on to the late games. With the Rams against the Broncos, actually there is chance in October for some snow in Denver this week. It looks like it's gonna be probably around 1 to 3 inches of snow on Sunday. I don't know how much it will impact the game, but I still have the Rams, which are unquestionably the best team in the NFL right now. The game right there with a 21-10. It's a low scoring game for me just because I see the chance of snow, and I don't see a huge scoring game when it snows in Denver against these two teams right now. Next game are the Baltimore Ravens against the Tennessee Titans. Well, like I said before, the Baltimore Ravens kind of blew it last week against the Cleveland Browns in overtime. But this week, the Titans aren't looking really good. So I feel like the Ravens are a clear favorite again. I hope they don't play me like last week. But I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to win this game by a score of 21-13. The next game up are the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys aren't looking good right now on offense. Dak Prescott is not performing right now. He can't connect to his receivers. Their passing game is not on point right now. Ezekiel Elliott running is probably their strongest point in the team right now. But against the Jacksonville Jaguars and their strong defense, I don't see a turnaround for their offense right now. So I'm giving this game to the Jacksonville Jaguars by a score of 17-10. For the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, Leonard Fournette is missing this game again, so they're gonna rely heavily on TJ Yeldon again. And like I said before, the new acquisition of Jamal Charles will help them a little bit, but it's not gonna be a high-scoring game probably. And the Sunday night football game is the Kansas City Chiefs against the New England Patriots. For many people, that's the game of the week. Like I said, for me, it's the Steelers against the Bengals, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion. The Patriots, they looked okay against the Colts. They could have done a lot better, and the Chiefs are looking pretty promising in the AFC this year for a regular season until it comes to the playoffs. But I'm gonna give this game to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it's gonna be a really high-scoring game because neither team really has a good defense, but both have really good exploding offensive powers. So I'm giving it to the Chiefs with a score of 49-44. Close game, high-scoring game, a lot of fun on Sunday Night Football, I think. And to end it all, of course, the Monday Night Football game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers. The San Francisco 49ers, with the loss of Jimmy Garoppolo, are doing pretty good actually. I expected them to do a lot worse because Jimmy Garoppolo was kind of the center of the whole offense. But actually Beathard is not that bad of a quarterback right now. So, okay, still, I think they're going to lose to the Packers, even if the Packers are missing some key players on offense right now or might miss some key players on offense with their hurt wide receivers that I've talked about last week, of course. But I'm giving it to the Green Bay Packers by a score of 27-20 over the 49ers. So that's it with my prediction for every game in the NFL this week. I hope they are kind of close. I think I did really well last week. The results were kind of off, but I think I got the winning team in all but 3 games last week. So that's pretty good, I think. And as I've said in the beginning of the video, also check out Derek Lodge's channel down below in the description. Make sure to check out his videos. He's talking, like I said, more about college football, but really interesting. He also talks about the NFL. He might have some other news that I don't get into. So make sure to go to his channel, subscribe to him, like his videos, all that stuff. Also subscribe, of course, to my channel, like I said before. Hit the notification bell to get notified when new videos come out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. But until then, bye!